Hello, my name is Rick McCutcheon. I'm president of Full Contact Selling. Today I'm going to present Salesforce Automation Best Practices. I've been in the CRM/Salesforce automation business since 1991 as a strategist, speaker, writer, and I've owned several companies that deal with Salesforce automation and CRM projects. I've recently was publicized in the Sales Guru's Speak Out book with a chapter, Power Up Your Sales with Technology. I also currently lead a sales and CRM consultancy practice based on our full contact selling methodology, which I'll be describing in today's session. I facilitate sales productivity and CRM user adoption seminars, webinars, and keynotes for the Microsoft Dynamics user group community, University of Toronto Center of CRM Excellence, and several leading associations and organizations. You can also read my full contact selling blog on the Microsoft Dynamics community website. So let's start talking this session through by going over what I call the promise of CRM. Many times we look at CRM projects, and I get involved with CRM projects, and I end up dealing, exclusively with the IT departments. And one of the things I try to emphasize to organizations is that CRM, and today we're going to talk about Salesforce automation, is really a business project with technology roots. The technology department needs to be involved, but more importantly, it needs to be sort of endorsed and sponsored by the sales, marketing, and customer service business units. So this is what I call the promise of CRM. CRM is the business philosophy that lets you know your customers, prospects, and partners better, share information more thoroughly, and interact more completely. This is achieved by creating a system that integrates people, process, and CRM technology. And then you'll see my mantra there at the bottom of the slide that says CRM is forever. And this is one of the key things when we start talking about the success of CRM. Many organizations that I get involved with, and there's two types of projects I get involved with. One is where they're looking at a CRM rollout specifically for their Salesforce, and they bring me in early on before they get started so they have a better chance of sort of getting things going on the right track. Other companies who attempted CRM projects for their Salesforce and they're not getting this sort of user acceptance, usability, and they're not seeing an ROI, bring me in to sort of fine-tune and tweak the system and build a user adoption program for them. So those are the types of companies that need help getting CRM working for them. And we've heard about sort of the different issues around user adoption and things when it comes to CRM and getting people to use it. A big part of that is CRM is forever. So many companies build a CRM system like there's a start date to it and a finish date. So they go through and do a technology project, they get the software up and running, give people training, and they feel that the project is ended. What I emphasize to companies is once you roll out the technology, the project has just begun, right? Because now you can embrace the philosophy of managing your customers, prospects, and partners better. Before that time, it's just a technology piece. Then afterwards, all the process comes in, all the people issues come in, all the user adoption comes in. And you're going to find you're going to keep tweaking your CRM over time and making it more powerful. So you've got to have staff and people assigned to it, and a methodology for doing that. So keep in mind your CRM project will be forever. So that leads us to our next slide, and we're going to really be talking today about the business sides of things, because this is really a non-technical talk. So in the world of selling and Salesforce automation, we have three basic types of people that we have to deal with. We have the suspects, who we may refer to as leads. And these are people that we may not know a lot about, we just know that we may be able to sell them something. So if I use an example of that, if I sell office furniture, I can drive to any office building and say, hey, if someone's got an office in that building, they must need office furniture. But then there's a whole process of what we call qualification that goes on to make them a prospect. So if I use my office furniture example again, I may have to go and speak with the office manager to find out what their requirements are, where the office furniture is being bought from. Maybe possibly they lease it now or they've purchased it, or maybe they just redid their offices 3 months ago and don't really have a big need for it. So I have to go through and I have to qualify them. This creates a prospect in my system. Now I've got to take this prospect and now move it through my sales process, and hopefully it becomes a customer. Once that organization becomes a customer, I have to move them back through my cycle again, don't I? Find out what are the products and services I can help them with, and possibly find out, do you have any other companies you're associated with through a parent-child relationship? Or maybe they belong to an association with a buying group. Is there anything else that we can do to sell them more office furnishings? So we want to build a closed loop selling system, and CRM is going to help us be able to do that. Well, most organizations today who do not use CRM for Salesforce automation purposes or do not use it correctly don't have this closed loop system. So they'll have disjointed systems, or what I call islands of information. So their leads and suspects may be in some sort of marketing automation system sitting by itself with no real contact involved with it. Their prospect information could be in various stages and spots. You know, if they have CRM, maybe some of the salespeople have it in CRM. Maybe some of the people have it in Outlook. Many times we find the best Salesforce automation information in Excel spreadsheets, and that has a whole different set of problems to it. Or, you know, in some cases, the rep writes it down in a notepad, and that's where that information is. Well, what happens is our sales process becomes disjointed. Then we have our customer information in a third place, and that's usually in some sort of accounting system or customer service system. So how do we bring it all together? How do we tell our marketing department what leads were the best? How well did we do at that trade show last year? How did that email marketing campaign work for us? We don't know, because we're not recording it, we're not moving it through the process. And first of all, we don't understand what information we're collecting here. But secondly, all kinds of information starts to fall through the cracks, especially around the sales process. And I'm going to talk a lot about that today. If we don't build a sales process, encase it in CRM and like technologies, then you're going to see a lot of information being processed and then being left behind, or what we call falling through the cracks. And I'll give you a great example of that. If you go and you look at a sales manager's Excel spreadsheet. So here's all the reps creating a spreadsheet saying, here's what my pipeline is. Look at that spreadsheet today. Now look at that spreadsheet 6 months ago. Look at that spreadsheet 12 months ago. And you'll see huge changes through that spreadsheet of what opportunities a sales force are working on. Well, if we go through and look at the old ones, we're probably closing 20 to 30%. But what happened to the other 70 to 80% that didn't close? You'll find that a lot of those are no longer being pursued or have been closed out, and we don't know what happened to them because the prospect went quiet, or another vendor got the lead on it and our rep sort of pulled back from it. There'll be various reasons, or we just ran out of time or lost the information. But you'll find that a lot of the work we've done early on in the sales process gets lost, especially if you're dealing with products that have a longer sales process, like 3, 6, 12, 18 months, or maybe 2 to 3 years. You'll find an enormous amount of these sort of suspect to prospect qualifications being lost and dropped out of the system. So let me show you how you can end this sort of leaking within your organization. So let's get first started talking about what are the metrics of Salesforce automation. What do we want to start to measure and to manage in our CRM system? Well, first of all, we want leads and prospects. We want to look at the quality, the quantity, the source, the cost, the close rates. We want to look at customer retention, upselling opportunities, referrals, and our relationships with them. We want to be able to look at and measure calls, meetings, and tasks, and better understand our competition and competitive threats, who they are, where they are, why they're there, and how we can beat them. Now, what we don't want to do and what we do want to do. What we don't want to do is have CRM viewed in the organization as a big brother tool where I'm going to watch how many activities you created and how many activities you followed up on. That's not what I'm all about. I'm all about how do we use it strategically to keep us focused on selling, and how do we use it to work through a process where we're continuously moving these leads and prospects through to a close where they become customers, and then we manage those customers through the system as well. We also want to keep in mind that the ownership of well-managed data around leads, prospects, customers, and competitors is worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to most organizations. If we start thinking about that and what the value of a customer is, and we've done lots of work on, defining an exact dollar figure for a customer for a lot of organizations, especially when we're looking at retention and upselling. Well, when we start to do this, we start to understand, well, if a customer's worth $50,000 to me, and I have 100 of those customers, that's worth, I think, $5 million. So we start to multiply that out over and over again, and we start to see just how valuable those customers are. When we do that, we usually end those conversations about what CRM is going to cost. Really, we start to look at a CRM as an investment to managing those customers. And here's a study that you can get from Forrester Research. They did a couple of years back on Salesforce automation best practices, and if you go on their website, you can find it. But I did take this one small portion just to talk about when the findings when they went out to a group of customers that have already rolled out Salesforce automation and CRM tools to their teams, and asked them, what best practices are you implementing to get more value from your investment in CRM tools and technology? And really, this becomes the basis for this talk. And really, once I saw this, I could see that it was the basis for what I do with organizations, or what my organization does.